Hello, everybody. My name is Rashad B. I'd like to welcome everybody to the Tales from the Real World podcast. Joining me today, I have two special guests besides my colleague Brian here with me. I'm going to introduce first Jason, um, fourth degree black belt, karate, also hockey player, and a great one too. I ain't been to a game in a minute. Can't wait till the season start back up. And
Yeah,
also right here joining us is my mentor, Chris. You know, been here riding it out with me, molding me, and also again, engineer, also co-producer with me, Brian.
Hey guys, I'll be in the corner over here fighting all the technical gremlins, so hopefully you don't blame me too much when everything goes wrong.
all right.
Thank you for the nice intro, Rashad. It's a pleasure and an honor to be here. Thank you very much.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I'm honored to be here, Bashar. I'm excited to do this, man. It's been a long time coming, so thanks for having me, man.
Yeah.
Man, y'all guys welcome. It's an honor again, man, to have y'all also, man. You know, y'all believed in me. I asked, I needed y'all. Y'all showed up right then and there as brothers and friends do. You know, like right then and there. Same thing with Bryant when, it was like started as a plan. Now look, we here. Chris, that bathroom, we here now. You know,
Yes,
this is the grand, opening right here. We did the mocks. It's the kickoff, It's the
I'm
kickoff,
excited.
man.
I'm excited.
I'm definitely too, bro. Oh man. You know,
Good.
uh, we got them topics. We can start on them, jump around. You know how we always do.
I
Whatever
do.
one, and I like what Jason said today. I came to him, and I'm like, anything you don't want to talk about. He said, I'm open book. Like
Yeah,
was there at this point? What's there to hide? Like what's there? Like and it rubbed on me. I'm like, yo, you right. Like leave that alone.
yeah,
Like we gonna go there. If
good.
it's need be. Like I like that,
Yeah.
man.
Well,
No time like the present, right?
Right, right,
let's
right.
dive right
That's
into it.
right.
What's the most embarrassing thing that you'd never share on the internet with a million people?
Oh
Topic number
man.
one, right?
Yeah.
That's great. That's great. So
Uh,
fear, Rashai, I like that one. The fear
Yeah,
one.
that fear. Right, right. What you got on fear? I'm gonna go ahead and swing it to you, Jay. I don't mean to put you on. What you got on fear?
oh man, there is a lot. Fear. I mean, fear is a pretty broad subject, but we talk a lot about fear. Uh, there's fear of being great. There's fear of failure. There's fear of getting hurt physically, emotionally, mentally. Fear is a big thing. And it's a big thing in our society. Um, and it's a monster for a lot of people to tackle. You know, stepping outside of your comfort zone, trying something new, different. Um, Man, fear of getting out of your house in the morning. These are all real life things that the fear is behind a lot of that. Uh, a lot of our problems that we deal with today is fear is definitely a factor in them. So, I mean, I was just watching a video. One of the topics that was brought up in the subject of fear was this fear of being great. And it really kind of baffled me because I said, well, we all have this impulse to want to be great, whether it's make money or um, have a great family life, have a good work life. But then we have this fear of being isolated while we're great. It was something I never really took into account before. So we fear our own success. We also fear our own failure. So it's kind of a weird state to be in. It was something I watched earlier today. Some of the stuff that I get to kind of feed my brain is, I mean, definitely off YouTube. I'm not going to lie. There's so much good content there if you know where to look. Um, but yeah, I mean, to, to touch on fear in a kind of in a broad, sweeping way, um, it's a big one. It's a big one.
Yeah. I
I mean, I can
agree.
keep
I'm
going.
gonna.
I can list all my fears if you want.
Yeah. Well,
Uh,
I was actually gonna ask a specific instance maybe of like where you can remember being afraid of something and what like how you dealt with it.
All right. So one that I think about a lot is fear of my performance, whether it be at work, whether it be in the karate school, whether it be on the ice. Well, how well do I drive to work every day? Am I staying in the lane? Am I hitting all the stop signs? Am I being a jerk? Am I not being a jerk? You know. So that's a performance thing to me. Sometimes it crosses over into the stress zone. You know, I get stressed out, and there's obviously fear there. But I remember. So my dad, he used to be a pro bare knuckle karate fighter. I asked him one time. I said, "Do you ever get scared when you're in the ring? You're about to, you know, you're standing toe to toe with this guy in front of you. You got no equipment on, and it's the first to score a few points." I said, "You get scared?" He said, "Heck yeah." I said, "Well, what'd you do?" He said, "I just blast the guy in the face and be the first one to hit him." So he used fear as a motivator, right? So he turned it into motivation. So instead of shying away from it, he channeled it, funneled it, and used it constructively. And I don't think he ever lost a match. However, uh, Dad grew up in California. He's kind of a badass dude. He was disqualified from a couple of them. I know that uh, because he broke the rules. You break a guy's shoulder and put him out of the tournament. You know, he can't fight anymore, so you can't really fight anymore too. But so anyway, I use the same thing. You know, definitely in hockey too. Is you got five guys out there wanting to take your head off, and it's high speed. You're going to pay the price if you mess up. So I had some fear, especially in high school and college. I think the biggest crowd I played in front of was about 3,500 or 4,000 people. It was on TV and everything,
Wow.
and I was scared. I mean, shaking, visibly scared, stepping out onto that ice. But then you turn it into, you know, we have this thing as athletes, especially I learned this in martial arts. We can take that fear and turn it into our performance. You know, we have fear when we're in stress. Stress might be when, let's see, a stress environment might be there's a altercation. You know, something's happening. You're stressed. You don't know how to deal with it. Comfort is like kind of like right now. There's a touch of performance going on here, maybe, but we're mostly in our comfort zone, just having a chat, right?
Yeah.
But then performance would be something like, uh, you know, athletes are in performance uh, mode a lot. So it's about recognizing, you know, what's the situation and how to deal with the fear in those situations. I'm not perfect at it, but every day I think about it, and every day I get put through situations, I learn a little bit more. And you know, I guess we're all on this path of self-discovery too. So
yeah.
I
there's
guess
been a lot, Brian. There's been a lot of times when I've been scared. I can tell you that.
well, that's good. I mean, that's good. I think you touch on some interesting points there. That like that stress is what really is the worst part of fear. I think I like that.
Yeah.
So I'll piggyback on that, Jason. I like a lot what you said. So I'm going to go even deeper into it because this is something that I've dove into pretty deeply and did some research and stuff and personal research as well. But I mean, you can go as far as to say that any sort of limiting belief that you have or anything that's holding you back from something, if you really look at the base level of that, it's all based on fear, right? Like you mentioned it, your performance, you're scared to have your performance based fears. You have fear can always, at least for me personally, I can always narrow it back down to that is kind of always the underlying emotion that's going on whenever it comes to, any sort of restrictions or limiting beliefs that I may have, the self-doubt that we've spoken about, the uncomfortable situations. It all boils down to fear, whether it's fear of not being good enough, if it's fear of not performing well enough, if it's fear of people making fun of you, whatever. You can put it on just about anything. But then I heard some things that you were mentioning. For me, there was a difference. There's healthy fears right? And then there's the unhealthy fears, or there's logical fear, and then there's illogical fear. Now, a logical fear would be more of like you were mentioning about physical pain or something, or if I'm driving bad, you know what I mean? There can be a detrimental outcome to that. That to me is more of a logical fear. It makes sense. It's based on something that actually is factual. If I'm driving crazy, then I'm going to probably crash, or I have a higher chance of crashing and physically hurting myself, right? So I
Right.
would place
Or
that
someone
in
else.
the logical fear category. But then we look over at the other category, and that's illogical fear. And that is, I can just use the podcast for example. If anyone was nervous to come on here, oh well, am I not going to be good enough? Am I not going to talk well enough? Am I going to be funny? Am I going to look dumb? Am I going to say things dumb? So you're fearful of that, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I put that in the illogical sense because why? What facts? Look at the things that you're assuming are going to happen, and then look at the facts of the actual situation and see, and you'll quickly realize that there actually is no factual evidence to give me this outcome, right? It's just all
Right.
stuff that you're thinking of in your head. You know what I mean?
It's
So that's what
interesting,
I
isn't it?
that's yeah, it is. That's what I call just there's so it's and that's those limiting beliefs, the illogical fears. Enough of them, they add up to limiting beliefs, and now you're in a situation where you don't think that you're capable of doing certain things because of these fears that you created in your head. You know, because I mean, if anyone was fearful to come on here and speak and say, "Oh, I don't have anything good to say," or maybe I'm going to talk dumb or anything like that, what did someone tell you that you talked dumb? Did someone tell you that you have nothing good to say? Did someone tell you that you look dumb on camera? You know what I mean? And when you go through that list of things, you can most of the time, at least for my instance, it was no, nobody did that. As a matter of fact, you were the only person that was saying that you weren't going to be good enough to do this. So those are the things I like to
Yeah.
try to separate it from. You got your healthy fears, you got your unhealthy fears, or logical and illogical fears. But the fear thing is, I love what you said about it. You use it as almost a motivation or inspiration to get through it. And Rashai and I spoke about, Brian's been in the conversation as well. One of the things I love to say is taking uncomfortable action. And basically that's just a fancy way of saying fight through the fear. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you never know. You never know how it's going to play out. You make all these assumptions of how it's going to play out. But this is an exercise I actually teach in my course. It's like, what are some things that you think about yourself? And then you write that list down, you see it, and then I say to look back on that, right? And then what facts are there to base to think to have that thought? What facts is there to support why you think said thing about yourself? Now if it's based on actual fact and you can see it, but the beautiful part about that is you can at least come back and you can change that. You can change those facts. You can make some adjustments to that situation. But if there's something you don't think you're good enough to launch a podcast, well, now, okay, if you think that, let's look at the facts that there is to base that. Is that an actual belief of yours? And if it is, why is it? And what facts support that belief? And a lot of the times you'll find that there's none there. It's just a simple fear. It's uncomfortable. As human beings, the way the brain works is we get into comfortable positions and we live our life adapted to our comfortability level. You know, we that's why we have routines. That's why we have things that we do, and our group of friends. But if you look at successful people in life, they adapt to any scenario that they're in. They're constantly getting new friends. They're constantly learning more. They're constantly taking new risks, and trying new things, because you cannot grow unless you push through that uncomfortable action. Failure, a lot of times, failure equals growth, you know? But
Yeah.
when you're just comfortable in a situation and you're not doing anything and you let the little bit of the fear or the self doubt get the best of you, it's because you're fearful of what could happen, what possibly could happen. But the crazy thing is the way we look at it is we're never scared that we might succeed at what happens. It's the complete opposite. We're scared that we might fail. We're fearful that we might fail, and why we don't ever think of the what if we succeed part. And that's a huge thing that you can use to fight through it. It's like a visualization technique that I use is simply, if I'm nervous about doing something or if it's uncomfortable. I love using the word uncomfortable because to me that's just like spot on. I know I know what it feels like to be uncomfortable, right?
Oh
But
yeah.
I embrace the uncomfortability, man, because I know that on the other side of that is growth. You know, on the other side of that is something that I'm not even gonna. It's growth is the best word, because even if I fail, if I go through the uncomfortable action and I fail, right? I have the opportunity now to learn from my failure and make some adjustments, and now I can go back in again and not do the things that I did the first time to fail. You know,
Yeah.
Yeah.
so you got to just embrace the uncomfortability, because growth is always on the other side of it, and fear is just it can have you stuck. You know, there's the three F's, man. There's the fight, flight, or freeze. A lot of people get stuck in the freeze point. You know,
Hmm.
the fight and the flight, that's usually when it comes to a physical threat to you, you're going to fight or flight, but it can be anything. You know, if you're trying to start a new business or you're trying to do a new endeavor in life, you have those three things, man. You're either going to fight for it, you're either going to run from it, or you're just going to do nothing and freeze. You know, and all of the flight and the freeze are the two worst things you can do, because then 5 years goes by and you're looking back and you're saying, man, I still want to do what it is that I wanted to do 5 years ago, but I froze up or I ran from it, and I still have the one. And here we are 5 years later. If I just would have took that uncomfortable action, who knows where I would be now? I know one thing: I would be one step closer to it than I am right now, because I didn't do anything about it. Right?
Right.
So the fear can jam us up. It can jam us up. So I like to embrace it. That's what I do now. Whenever I feel some fear coming on or some uncomfortability or them butterflies, my heart gets to jumping. I know that I'm so close to a breakthrough that I just push right through it. And Rashad knows it, and he told me that he enjoyed this statement. Like, I expect it. I expect it,
That's
because it
why you was
always
there
comes.
today. I
Yeah,
said, come on, we knew you was coming.
you know it. You know it's coming.
Right. We know you
It's
coming. Come on.
you
Come
know,
on.
you know it.
Hmm.
It's that beautiful thing. If you can train your mindset to know, okay, that's self doubt, because we're never going to get away from it. It never goes away. I don't care if you know, you have the strongest mindset on earth. It's just a human emotion. It's a survival technique. That's what the fear is. It's a survival brain technique. So you're never going to get away from it. But listen, if you can fortify your mind to a point, you know, anchor in some emotions and say, okay, I know that it's coming, right? And then so once it gets here, it's no longer that initial shock. If you're not prepared for it, when it gets there, that's when it gets really bad. The heart's pounding out of your chest, you're sweating, you're not even able to speak right. You had all of a sudden every little bit of motivation you had and were so excited to do it. Now you just don't want to do it at all. You're like, yo, this isn't even for me, right? I'm
Man, I've
done.
been there so many times.
Yeah, as have I.
Yo,
As
Yeah.
you
have I.
said
Yeah.
But if you're
you said
ready,
something, Chris. You
go ahead.
said not to cut you. You said something yesterday. Was it yesterday or today? I walked in the saw room in the morning, and Jay was talking about the samurais and like how they took risks with no like with the fair, like meaning, and it's like no risk, no reward. You know, the risk of being I'm gonna go put the fair to the side. If I fail, I fail. The risk of whatever come out gonna come out, but I'm going
Mm-hmm.
at it. You know, and it was like I was battling with that, Jay, and he know like with this, I was stuttering. I got in, you know, it got to the point where as though the fear came over me so much I didn't even watch what we done because it blocked me. Like I don't want to do it, you know. Like basically, you look at it, you know.
It's
But
just,
then we had to
yeah,
talk. He came back there in the on the loading docks and talked to me. Like watch it.
yeah,
And when I watched it, it was not what I thought it was at all. That fear put so much in your head. You know what I
yeah.
mean? And yo, and today it was like, okay, I had pet talks. And I learned that that's what I got to do now. You know, like you said, you got a
Survival brain.
routine. That's going to be
Yeah,
part of my routine, even before it come, because it got me through it today. I didn't tremble over the words. You know,
yeah.
Jay didn't even give me, I said, Jay, write it down, text it to me. And he didn't. So I'm like, all right, I studied in my head a little bit. And, you know, I went over it because it was like the fear of the, you know, if I don't do it good, I'm walking away from this. But no, it's like, you know, the fear want us to not do it because it's like, I won. Okay, I won. But when we let that fear know, like, come back next time, we see you. You ain't going nowhere. We know that. Like you said, ain't going
Yeah,
nowhere. See you next
right.
time.
Yeah,
Come
right.
back next
Exactly.
time. Right.
And the best part
Uh,
about it, man, is when you fight through some fear, how good does it feel afterwards?
Oh,
You know, it
bro.
feels incredible. It's
Yeah.
unexplainable. It's unexplainable, man. It's like, bro, I was so scared to get on here and record this or whatever. And then you fight through it, man. And it might be hard. I'm not saying that it's easy to do. You know, we can make it easier, but in the beginning, it's difficult to do. But as soon as you fight through it, and Rashad, you can vouch for this every time. I can vouch for it because I've been through it as well. But you more recent than me, you know, at the end of it, like you just mentioned, you watch that video and you're like, wow, you know, I did it. There's a product here, and like you said, it was not. It's listen, about 9.9 times out of 10, man. Whatever you create in your head that you're assuming that isn't based on any fact, it's never going to be anywhere near that. If honestly, it's going to be the complete opposite. It's going to be way better, and you're going to feel
Yeah.
great about yourself. And then now you're that much more prepared the next time that situation comes up. Now at least you have some fact to base all that negative thoughts off. Oh well, I thought this the first time also, but I went through it and it wasn't anywhere. Okay, so now this isn't even based on fact. I'm just creating stuff in my head, and it becomes easier and easier as time goes on. And before you know it, you get to, you know, before I do speaking in large groups or anything, classes, coaching, whatever, I expect it. It shows up because, like I said, it never goes away. It shows up, and I just laugh. I told you this before, Rashad. I literally laugh, and I say, "I knew you. I knew it was coming. All right, well, you're here now, so get through get through it. Let's go." And then it's gone, and it's like a 2 minute thing now. You know,
Yeah.
it's like a 2 minute thing, and I just sit there with a smile and laugh because it gets to a point where it's funny because we create such such horrendous, ridiculous, far-fetched ideas in our head about how horrible something is going to be, or how people are going to do this or say that and think of you like this. And a lot of times, I mean, I'll say majority of the time, it's never the case, man. It's never the case.
Yeah.
I did a little interesting focus on just on my own. Why does that happen?
Mm-hmm.
Why does the fear pop up so much and prevent us, from doing anything like on tonight?
Mm-hmm.
My adrenaline got up a little bit, and I was excited, and the fear is
Yeah.
there. But like you said, it goes away. But why? Why was it like that? So there's this. As I get older, I realize that there's this cognitive switch that's occurring. Um, from my childhood, and the society we live in. I don't know why, but uh, this fear comes into me. It's it's an environmental thing, or it's a maybe trauma from my past, or results of something that I did before that were disapproved to my peers, or people around me. So that feedback that I got after something I did before, um, if it was negative a little bit, it was negative a lot, to me.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
it has such a deeper impact. I can't, I always wanted to know why. But so the the good news is that we can understand it. Maybe the why
Yeah.
can't really be answered, but we can certainly understand it and make adjustments cognitively.
Absolutely.
And like you said, Chris, we're kind of retraining our thought process here. We're breaking.
Absolutely.
Uh-oh.
Oh, we got to freeze up.
We got to freeze up.
There
Oh,
we
you're
go.
back.
You
You're
guys are
back.
back.
You're back.
We're back. Okay. And so we're breaking that mold,
Yeah.
and we're trying something new. And I think that's brilliant. I could just be laying here on Wednesday night watching another YouTube
Exactly.
video of some guy making something,
Absolutely.
or we could be talking the good.
Yeah.
I
And
think
I look forward to after this.
uh,
Go ahead, Brian. I
interesting
interrupted you.
point there that was made. Sorry. Interesting point there was made. I think when you, even if you fear something and your fear turns out to be justified, right? You should still try to do it again because now you know what can go wrong and now you're more prepared for it. So just because you
Yeah.
failed and oh no, the bear did attack me or the wolf did it, I did see a wolf on my walk or whatever fear you have, or they did laugh at me, I did mess up, I did stumble. Well, now I know I might stumble, so now I have to be more cautious and prepared. But now I'm going into it more prepared, so I'm even better off the second time, the third time, the fourth time. And that's why we
Yeah.
we, we can't let fear control us. Fear is important. Fear saved us in the caveman days for sure.
Mm-hmm.
If we didn't fear the saber-toothed tiger, we wouldn't have survived. But in the same token, that social pressure, that social fear is there just to help us learn, I think.
No, absolutely. That's a perfect point. And both of you guys touched on something. I'll try to make sure I don't forget one or the other. But Jason, you were saying, we don't know why that fear pops up. And, there's people are studying it constantly. It's evolving or whatever. But you mentioned something perfect. Something happened to you before it affected you in an emotional way. So that what happened was your brain now took that and it registered that as a belief about what would happen in said situation, or a situation that's even in the same general area as that first experience that you had. Do you understand what I'm trying to say?
Oh yeah, yeah,
So you
absolutely.
did something, you had a response that to you, because nobody can gauge, your response to something. Something that happens to me may not be that big of a deal, but the same thing happens to you and it may register different. So everybody has different emotional responses. So if something responded to you in an emotional way and you felt enough emotion about it, uncomfortable emotion, whatever the case is, even if it's positive emotion, that automatically subconsciously becomes a belief. So now that experience or anything similar to that experience is now also registered in your brain as a belief, you know and then you kind of gauge the rest of your experience in life, because that's how we live as human beings, right? We gauge our lives through our past experiences. That's just how the brain works. You know what I mean? We gauge, don't touch the fire because it's hot. I was younger before and I got burned on the fire. That becomes a belief. And what that is on a more scientific level, because like I said, I've read into this, dude, is it's, our brains are designed to survive. So before it was, just a straight up survival brain, don't mess with that big cat because it's hunting us, it'll kill us. And then if it does, we either got to fight or flight, in that standard. But now as humanity's evolved now, it's a social thing now. So we're more scared of, before it was like we're literally scared for another caveman to come and take our physical possessions. Right?
Right.
That's what I use. That's the food I use to feed my family, this and that. But now it's evolved to such a thing. It's like, I don't want this next dude to slander my name because now my reputation is going to be tarnished. So now you're in fear. You're no longer in fear of somebody actually physically coming and taking your belongings. It's evolved into fears of emotional
Yeah,
attacking.
your reputation is your food in a lot of ways in modern
Exactly.
culture.
So we've evolved, but the brain is still the same. It's just had to evolve to, it's not so basic anymore. Now it's more of an emotional thing. I don't want this person to make me look stupid in front of my girlfriend. I don't want to look
Right.
stupid on a video, because then everyone's going to look at me and be dumb. So you're actually not, no physical harm is coming to you, right? At all.
Right.
You're physically fine. But the emotional terror of those things, because of the day and age that we live in, our brain has now evolved from it being, I mean, we're still scared of the physical things, but the brain has that down pat. Now it's evolving into this emotional thing, and it doesn't really, if you think about the modern era, it hasn't been around long enough for our brain to actually master it. So as a safety mechanism, it just prevents as much of it as we can. So if there's any little smidge of evidence that we may be made fun of, or made uncomfortable or feel embarrassed or anything like that, that's why the flood doors just open with all that self-doubt, and it tries to prevent you. Your brain's trying to prevent you from feeling those emotions.
It's almost
Um,
like the
oh, go
adrenaline's
ahead,
kicking
Brian.
in, like from the physical fear response, as much as it would back in the caveman days. So like we saw something that looked like a saber-toothed tiger, the adrenaline would kick up because the fear response.
Mm-hmm.
But we
Exactly.
don't need the adrenaline kick when we're giving public speaking. In fact, that makes it worse in
No.
a lot of ways.
Yeah.
I wanna give a quick quote here. I think this is actually pretty poignant. I don't know if you guys ever read the book Dune, but
No, I just
this
the
quote
movie.
here. I will not fear. Fear is the mind killer. I will face my fear. I will let it pass through me. Where the fear has where the fear is gone, there shall be nothing. Only I will remain. And I really
Mm,
like that kind of quote because it's very much appropriate. I know that this is going to happen. I'm going to just like what you said, Chris. I'm just going to let it wash over me, and it will go
Yeah.
away. And then only I will be there.
Mm-hmm. That's perfect, man. It's like, how much longer are we going to let fear rob us of our potential, right? Because if you really look at it, that's what's been robbing us of our potential the whole time. You know,
Hmm.
it's just fear, and it's like you got to make that choice. I'm no longer gonna allow a simple emotion that I'm creating dictate what it is that I want to do in life, because it's done it too many times throughout my existence personally. I've allowed fear to dictate so many things. I mean, even on a deeper level, for when I was using drugs, it was based on fear. I wouldn't stop because I was scared of X, Y, and Z. You know what I mean? I was using because I was scared of X, Y, and Z. I was scared of my emotions. That's why I was using drugs. I wouldn't stop using drugs because I didn't know a life without drugs. And I was there when you look at it, I was fearful of so many things. And what did it do? It robbed me of my potential because, I finally bit the bullet and fought through all that. And now here we are almost 2 years later, and my life has transformed in a way that I can't even explain. Now I'm sitting here doing positive podcasts with you guys in less than 2 years, and it's like, wow, could I have even fathomed this at that time? No, because I was so bogged down by fear. I didn't want to do it. I just wanted to stay in my little comfortable place. And unfortunately, at that time, the comfortable place was just getting high, So luckily, I was able to fight through that, and now, we're here. And that's what it's about, man.
I will say that conversation we had in the shop this morning, will take a little bit more. Well, let's just say this: fear will steer us towards comfort inevitably if we let it. If we let the fear dictate our behaviors and our thinking, it will steer us towards comfort, and we sacrifice freedom in this at the same time. So, a lot of people, and this is going to be a general statement, will accept less freedom for more comfort because of fear. It's kind of a simple algorithm, right? Yeah. Now, what I was saying about the samurai earlier this morning was that safety was, sometimes we joke around in the shop and say safety third. Well, with samurai, that was kind of a literal thing for that. Safety wasn't an issue. So they were a little bit more free in their thinking and brave. There's just some of the finest warriors that the planet's ever seen. And there was such an honorable thing for them to fight in battle and die in battle. Safety wasn't a thing. So it's just funny to see kind of a polar opposite from an American society now to 200-300 years ago in Japan. It's just very interesting to me. But if we could take that and balance it out a little bit, who knows where we'd be as a society?
Yeah.
A little more free thinking and willing, which is something we need to touch on too. You can adjust the fear or adapt, to the fear, but then we have to still be willing, to step off and try something new or whatever it might be.
Right. What I got out of that. No, what I got out of that when you were saying it, what made me, touch on that, because that safety is around fear a little bit. You know what I mean? Like to me, you know what I mean? Like the safety around fear. Like, oh, don't do that. All right, I don't want to use that tool because I might get hurt. The fear, like I don't want to get hurt. And when you said that earlier, I'm like, yo, they live their life like, okay, I'm out. I'm out there. Whatever coming. I'm just on this journey. And that stuck with me once I knew like we using fear today, and I'm like, okay, I got to touch on that, and that fear was like, it always like held me back, kept me being a gerbil on the wheel. I wasn't going nowhere, just having the thoughts in my head. But once it come time, thinking I'm ready to go at it, I'm back, still ain't going nowhere. I'm at the same spot, on that wheel, like, and like fear of the unknown, like and I had a couple fears, like and Jay told me, and one time we inside the house or whatever, and I won't mention we're at the house, and I'm like, yo, my talking, you like, yo, be you. I like that about you. That's what makes me like you, because you're you. You know what I mean? And I'm like, yo, for real, like, bro, be you. Like, I like that about you. And that was a thing, like, fear of how I'm speaking. Then I want to change and want anything to go so fast. Like, no, everybody going to accept me. When I'm trying to do too much and not being me, that's what makes it, makes it, like you said, that comfortable, like getting in that comfortable spot of not being me. And that's how I would take it. I'm being a comfortable spot of not being me. And, and that's a disaster. Like, and that fear, and I'm glad we touched on that, because I'm looking at it right now. Somebody who watching this, we Chris said it. We laying down. We giving them the mat. We laying down that spot in the bridge, that empty spot for them, so that way they ain't got to go through what we went through. We giving them that that mat when they going in that woods. Here, you got a guide for you. You got to go in the woods, without no guide. We got you.
Yeah.
that's what this based around. You know, this podcast. You know, when we get the viewers to watch, they getting to hear and see. Like, you know, we everyday guys. You know what I mean? We what you know, obstacles come our way, and this is how we deal with them. You know,
Mm-hmm.
you know, like, yeah, like it just sent chills while y'all talking. I'm sitting here like, this is what this is being done for. We laying out the, you know, that map, that blueprint for 'em. What we always say, Chris. One of the things we doing this to help people not go through what we went through. You know, they
Yeah,
don't
we're
gotta go
bridge
through.
builders.
Right,
We're bridge builders, man. We're
right,
bridge
right.
builders.
That's the right.
You know, because we
Right.
spent, you know, it took me, we'll say, shoot, 20 years, you know, to gather all this knowledge through trial and error to get through here. So if I can save somebody 20 years worth of their time, it's to let them know the positives that I learned through it and how to not go through a lot of the struggles that I went through, then that's what I'm basing my whole entire business on, you know.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
that's what it's about, bro. You don't want, you know, we don't need people to struggle like this. But fear, I'm really glad that we picked this topic because that's a huge one. That holds everybody back from most things, man. You can always boil it back down to fear. It's just how you, but you need to push through the fear in order to grow because if it's uncomfortable, then that means that something else is on the other side of it. You
yeah.
know, it's like, would you rather feel a little bit of fear and fight through it or nothing at all? You know,
Right.
because if you feel nothing at all, then that means you're not doing anything. You're not growing. So I would much rather feel some fear and have the opportunity to fight through it, right? And see what's on the other side of it rather than feel nothing, feel no fear and be making absolutely no progress. You know, because once you're stagnant, you're not making any progress, and no growth comes from stagnation.
Right.
Growth comes from progress, man. We always have to progress, always, no matter what. Even if you're a small bit better than you were the day before, you better make sure that you're somewhat better. You don't want to, if you're
Right.
stagnant, you're not growing. And that's, I steer clear from that, man. We need to continue to grow, to continue to be better people. It never stops. There is no end goal, right? There is no end goal. Like, oh, I want to be the best. You know, that's a good thing to say. Like, I want to be the best me I can be, but you also have to understand that by being the best you can be, that means that you have to continually grow until the day that you die, because there is no best at anything.
You want to be the
You
best
know,
there ever was, not just the best at that best that there is today.
yeah. And that's why one thing I love to teach is, you know, you set goals, but you have to always be willing to set new ones,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because that the time that I had 2 years clean, I had all these goals and I achieved all of them and didn't set any new ones when I got to those goals. And what happened? Lost it all, you know, relapsed and was back at square one. So you have to continue to evolve. That's why I say progress, not perfection. You know, you just have to be a better version of yourself yesterday or a year ago or 5 years ago, whatever the case may be. You have to continue to grow, make yourself a better person. And that way you can help others. You know?
Mm-hmm.
Have you guys heard of the Four Agreements
I have heard of the Four Agreements. Don
by
Ruiz
Don Miguel
Jr., man.
Ruiz?
I
What is
have
it?
not.
Yeah.
Be impeccable
I
with
never
your
heard.
word,
Right.
right? That's
Me
one of
never
them. Be
heard.
impeccable with your word. Don't
Go
take
ahead,
anything
Chris.
don't take anything personal. Be the best you can be, and don't have any expectations. Is that the fourth one?
Very close. It's don't make assumptions.
Don't make
And
a
actually,
song.
that would be,
I knew. I was gonna say that one first, and I was like, no, I should have went with my gut. But yeah, no, I'm
but you
familiar
got
with
to
it.
be impeccable with your word. Don't take
Yeah.
anything personally. Don't make assumptions. And
Mm-hmm.
always do your best. When you said that just a minute ago,
Yeah.
it immediately popped into my head. And guess what? I already had it written down on here for some reason.
Ah,
Let me find this.
that's great. That's
Bringing
such a
it
good
out
book.
tonight.
A quick little excerpt. My dad showed me that book, The Four Agreements. I mean, I was 15 or something. And as a 15-year-old, yeah, cool, Dad, thank you. You know, I'm worried about girls and smoking
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
joint and playing hockey and the
Right.
drums, so the drums forever. But now, as I'm 41, and you know, I've had an interesting 5 year, 6 year run with alcoholism. You know, I'm in recovery now, and this Four Agreements couldn't be more pertinent to my situation now.
Yeah.
5 years ago, not so much because I just wasn't there. But
Mm-hmm.
through that growth and just trying things and understanding that there's actually these four things that can really just narrow things down. Oh, it's almost like another set of guidelines to live by,
Yeah.
or principles. I love them. I think it's great.
Yeah. That book is amazing. I've read that book
Book's
probably
amazing.
5 or 6 times.
Yeah.
It's sitting right in my bookshelf up there, right in the back, right behind me. It's an amazing book, dude. And those 4 agreements are literally a perfect guideline. You know, if you could live by
I'm
them, they're not
impressed,
even.
Chris.
I,
I'm
I
impressed that
read
you
often.
remembered them. Yeah.
Yeah, I read often, man. But no, they're great, and be the best you can, or be the best at what you're doing. Always do your best. I'm sorry, I worded that wrong. But always do
Mm-hmm.
your best. You can't go wrong with that, right? Who can judge you if you're doing your best at something? Nobody can judge you at that point, right? You're doing your best, And there's another book that I read by the author Napoleon Hill, the Laws of Success, and one of the chapters in there, one of the laws is always do more than you're paid to do. You know what I mean? And that ties in with me is always do your best in a situation. So, be that person that, again, if you're doing more than you're paid to do, then that obviously means that you're doing your best at what it is that you're doing. You know? So just always strive to, do your best. That's what I can just boil it down to. I always strive to do my best at anything I can do. So when it comes to working on myself, I strive to do my best. When it comes to helping Rashai and Brian get this podcast launched, hopefully you guys can attest to this. I
Yeah.
feel like I did my best, man. I put work in with you guys and wanted to bring the best you out to do this. And now here we are. We got another guest on here, Jason. I'm really glad you're here, man. I love this.
This is good.
Thank you. Yeah,
But,
I love it.
just doing our best, right? And nobody can ever, even if there was negative comments to pour into the comments section, hopefully we'll all be able to look at them and take them, take them for what they are, and look at it like, look, we did our best. I don't know about you guys, but I'm having a great time right now having this conversation with you. So, if anybody has anything negative to say, I'd be able to just brush that off. Because
Yeah.
we did our best. We're doing our
Absolutely.
best right now. I'm doing my best right now. I feel that you guys are all doing your best as well.
I have a comment about that. I would just say this. One time I was driving with my best friend. We were driving down to the beach, and this car cut him off. And I'm in the passenger seat. He's driving. And I lost my mind. I said, how could and all these curse words come out? And he just looks at me and he goes, dude, the person's in and out of our life for 2 seconds. That was it. They're gone.
Right.
The thing's over. What are you getting all bent out of shape for? So when I think about YouTube comments, I was like, well, how am I going to
Yeah.
deal with that? You watch the pros deal with it. Dude, they're in and out of your life for not even a second.
Yeah.
If at all. So it's
Exactly.
not a big deal.
And you can tie this in. You can tie this into the one of the 4 agreements. Don't make assumptions. You don't know where that person's at right now mentally.
Yeah.
You don't know if they just got in the fight. They just got in a fight with their significant other, and then they hopped on there and decided to watch our podcast. And for whatever reason, one of our faces or a comment we made irritated them. They were already in a negative state, so we can't assume.
Yeah.
You don't know where they're at. You know what I mean? Just like the person that cut you off, you don't know what they were doing. Maybe they were on a rush to the hospital.
Maybe they just found out that their significant other got stung by a bee and they're allergic. You don't know.
Anything.
Yeah,
so you can't make those assumptions. And then one thing I love to say, Brian and Rashad already heard me say this, but I feel the need to say it again, is nobody makes us mad, dude. Nobody makes us sad. Nobody makes us happy. That's an emotional decision. We choose to have those emotional states. People can do things that you allow to make you mad, but you always make that decision. Nobody has the ability to snap their fingers and make you mad. I can't snap my fingers and make you happy. You know what I mean? It's you. I can do something that you may take and internalize and then decide on an emotion how you want to feel about it. But there's absolutely nothing, I didn't make you feel a certain emotion. You know what I mean? And I love to live my life by that, because there's situations where I'll feel the emotion. Somebody will do something and I'll feel it inside of me initially. And I might want to be irritated, or I might want to be like, oh, that's stupid, or whatever the case may be. And then it's like, I'm able to process it now and be like, well, I don't have to feel that way. I can just not feel anything about it. You know what I mean? Or I can choose to laugh it off or whatever. So, I like to use that little technique when it comes to that. But the assumption thing is huge, because you never know where somebody's at, man. Somebody could be in a terrible spot at that.
And I have been so guilty of that in the past.
Oh, we all have, dude.
Yeah.
We all have.
Like so dumb, just
Yeah.
so blind and naive. But
Mm-hmm.
through getting stung a couple times, I realized, maybe I would rethink and assess before I go ahead and judge or make an action like that, you know.
Mhm.
Yeah, because
But
I'm
I also
sure.
have to be careful and stay humble with it too, because I've also said to certain people, you know, how are you going to judge me? But then they're judging it, you know,
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
making assumptions. So it's a tricky
absolutely.
place to be, you know. Just stay humble, I guess, is the key there.
Yeah.
Trying to stay
Yeah.
humble somehow.
But the beauty of it is you're aware of it, man. That's how you can work
Yeah,
on it. You can work on it.
right.
That's what I love about this whole mindset thing and changing your perspective on life is you can work on it. You don't have to be disgruntled or irritated by every old thing, or you know what I mean? Because how many? I'm sure all of us sitting here can relate to a time in our lives where the smallest thing happened to us that we weren't happy with, and it ruined our entire day or our entire week, and we just dwelled on something
I'm
for no, and then you look
guilty as
back
heck
on
of
it and you're
that.
like, why?
I
What?
think
Why? Hold on. I just wasted a whole day, and your whole day was destroyed by it. Okay, so my wife made me mad this morning for whatever reason. I chose to get mad, and it was the smallest, dumbest thing. So now I'm at work, and I'm angry towards everybody else. I'm not performing right at work now, and I'm arguing with my friends, or I'm irritable, and all of this, all from one small decision. If you just allowed yourself to be mad about, you know, and
I
it's like I don't want to live like that anymore,
I never
man.
do
You
that,
know?
right, Rashai? Never. Never let something from work make me mad for the whole week. Never.
Never, right?
It's
And
and
I
it's
try
like
to talk. I'm like, no, Brian, let it don't give it that energy. You know,
Yeah.
keep
yeah,
it stay. You know, it takes too much energy and it is a drainer, man. Like, and I learned. I said I gotta stay away from when I get like that. It's a drainer for me.
Yeah.
I love being like this. It's
yeah.
more relaxing. My head ain't racing. You know, I'm not thinking. And when I'm like that, it's just all too much thoughts that I never like. I like just having this smile and being
Yeah.
even y'all like Jason and somebody noticed like why you not smiling? What's wrong? Hold up. Bring it back. You know, like
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Mhm.
you know, yeah, bring it back. Like, and I come out like, all right, okay, right, let me get back. Let me this board right here getting on my head. But you know, just
Yeah.
using it as an
Yeah.
example, like, you know, man, and it's like right now the way I look at it, like the situation I am now, from being and John said something to me from 2 years to now, like when they say like I'm too blessed to be like stressed, it's like too much good things going on in my life right now, working, you know, and how the job changing just might be me being a part of something that's good. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Knowing I'm serving a good purpose at the end of the day. I can sleep good at night, not knowing I didn't do anything no wrong to myself or like either like try to get over anyone with a conversation or living like knowing
Yep.
I'm bringing my all and my good all to the world. You know, I'm
Hmm.
presenting me in the best form that I ever can. You know, like all good great intentions. So it's like I can sleep good at night. So I might get a little come something pop up, but it's just I let it go. I just it's
Yeah.
just like I'm loving where I'm at, like mentally, like because I see the change in myself. I fought for this for
That's
so many
great.
years to get here.
That's
You know what
great.
I mean? Like the fort
Yeah.
in that fair, man. So many times I had the opportunity to leave, and I done got on the bus and got back off. It was waiting for me all that time, but that fear of me leaving my comfort zone kept it away. But the minute I stepped out on faith and said, you know what, you got a spot for me out Harrisburg, I'm going. Everything just started like falling in place. Like if I needed something, it landed to be there. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm like, yo, why ain't this a long time ago? But it
Mm.
was when everything was supposed to happen. And I just got to that point in my life where as though I could say I'm not ashamed of nothing, that I'm happy for what I went through. I embrace it. You know what I mean? Because now, like you said, we building that bridge. I can get back to someone, that, so they ain't got to go where I went through. You ain't got to fight in
Yeah.
your head about it.
Yeah.
When you got opportunity present itself to change you to give you a better you, take it. Take it, don't turn it down.
Yeah.
Just I got like my out here in my new life, like great friends, brothers. You know what I mean? Like that's right
Yeah.
here with me. Like, and it was that fear, man, kept me away.
Good.
Like I had a bus ticket. Sorry, I had a bus ticket for Florida to go to a place out there. Like we was at Coastville, and I got on the bus and I jumped off. I said, I ain't ready to, like, I ain't going out there, but what, imagine what would have been out there waiting for me. But like I said, when I stepped out on faith, man, and went to Harrisburg. The first spot that popped up for me, it just changed. Was a changer. It was a game changer, man. And when and that saying, they say you can't tell help how to help you, and that's when I want to
Mm.
step in and start trying to do it my
Yep.
way. You know, no.
Yeah.
Right now, you ain't. It's not for you to use your way. Like, put it to the
Yeah.
back right now. You know, right now we
No,
guiding you out. That that's what they was trying to tell me. Like, man, that fear is
I'm not.
dangerous, man.
Yeah, I was going to talk about. I went to a prep school, um, and they gave a public speaking class, and I thought it was really stupid. I had no interest in doing any kind of like public speaking or anything. But my teachers saw something in me, and they're like, "We're basically forcing you to go into this class." Uh, like, not really, but all of my teachers got together conspiratorially and kind of forced me into it, and it was actually really good because I learned. Because I had no desire to talk in front of people. It was like anxiety inducing. I have like social anxiety and all kinds of other stuff. But I realized by going to that class, like it's like what Chris said there. It's just fear. And there's no reason to be afraid. I already don't care what people think of me. Like, it's not even. I'm married. I'm not even trying to attract a mate anymore.
Yeah.
I'm just me. So I'm allowed to be me. And if you don't like me, that's cool. But I learned that attitude because of that public speaking class, and I learned how to be more confident and comfortable with myself. And facing that fear was like the best thing I could have possibly ever done. I would have never even got into this like idea of podcasting and editing and producing all this stuff for you guys. And I thought that like facing that fear was awesome, and it was essential.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On the other
Oh,
side
man.
of that, man, it's usually greatness on the other side of that fear, man. I'm telling you. That's why if you could change your perspective, man, that's one thing that I try to drive into people when I work with them, is change your perspective on fear. No longer let it dictate your life, because it's like I said it earlier, it's taking so much from us, man. And if you can change your perspective and look at, discomfort is a breeding ground for success, if you really think about it. Because it's always that uncomfortable thing. It's that when you're feeling discomfort, it's always because you're about to go into the unknown. And listen to that word, the unknown. So all that self-doubt and all that talk in your head, you don't know it. You're going into the unknown, which is why you're uncomfortable. And again, you try to boil it back down to a more scientific thing. It's because your brain's just trying to keep you from having any sort of emotional harm from it. But you can learn to reprogram that and embrace it, and then you're growing no matter what. On the other side of that uncomfortability is always growth in some form or another. And a lot of times on the other side of that uncomfortability is success. I mean, Rashai, I can remember literally as vivid as it just happened yesterday, our first call. What share with me how you felt about it. When I was like, okay, we'll do a Zoom call tonight. First of all, I'm sure I probably shocked you when I said that. We were just talking about it, and I said, okay, well, we can do a Zoom call tonight. Call me up, and we'll get going. What are some of the things that were going through your head, man? Like, honestly, how did you feel about it?
It was like off guard, and I'm like, oh, he really like giving me his word. He believing, he like,
Mhm.
okay, he coming his half. Now it's time for me to show up. Then when we got in, the fair part kicked in of, oh, how you gonna continue? You don't have this, you don't have that. But then whole time when you start speaking on a how, and we rolling in like I'm thinking of the how we doing it, and it was like right, like I'm like we're doing it right now, and it was like the fear. Then the next thing you know, the next day, well, the next show up, our next meeting, it was the fear
Mhm.
came in of well, you think anyone going to watch, and it just was like that's when we came in with. Well, be prepared all for the comments if they do come in. Just take them in.
Mhm.
And
Hmm.
scribe with them. Like it was just like every like it was just popping up different ones. But you're right,
Yeah.
it's always going to show up. Like yeah,
So, so with that, I ask you that. We'll just give the audience some context. What I've been working with you now for what a month and a week, we'll say.
once of
So
the
about
week. Yeah,
four to 5 weeks I've been working with you. So that first conversation was 4 to 5 weeks ago. You had that fear, that self doubt that was based on no fact because we had never worked together before. So you had no no factual evidence to assume that I would feel any type of way about it or anything like that, right? So my point though is you fought through it, and now tell me how you feel now as we sit here 4 weeks later. You fought through that uncomfortable action, and what was on the other side of it? We're here now, right?
Here, yeah, it was
And did you ever
right
think it would
now.
be this big? Did you ever think we would be where we are now? Or you? I'll put you in it. That you would be where you are now 4 weeks ago when we first started working together.
Mm, I seen it, but with the fear and with the how, with you want to speak more proper. It was like like a little fog. I could see it was like fog there. So I
Mm-hmm.
seen it, but the fog was covering with the fear. But now once I say after the third session, it was like okay, all right, it's here, it's here. The house was gone. It was here. So that howl was fair. I learned that was fair.
Yeah.
Like that was another form of fair. See, fear come in different forms, and I'm
Oh
and I'm
yeah.
and I'm learning that. Like yo, and now we here. That's why I'm like, this is the opener. We here. Like
Mm-hmm.
when I say I can't believe, is in a good way. Like I
Yeah.
can't believe, like shocked. Like yo, we here. Like
Yeah. I do.
yeah.
My point of asking that question is just so we could give the audience a firm example, a personal example
Mhm.
of you fighting through a fearful situation, that uncomfortability, man. You didn't know how this was gonna play out, and you battled with the fear. But listen, you persisted. Persistence always equals success. Always. If you're persistent enough on something, you're gonna succeed eventually. Even if it takes you a lifetime, if you're persistent on it, you'll eventually succeed. And you were just persistent with making this happen, and now we're here, man. It makes me so happy to be able to sit here when 4 weeks ago you were literally, like you said, you were asking me, well, I don't know how, I don't know how we're gonna get people to listen, I don't know if they'll listen. Everything that your self doubt could create, it created, and we
Mhm.
managed to persist through it. And now look at us, we're sitting here, we've already got a couple out, they're not for the public, but we've got them out. We were looking at them, we've taken
Yeah.
notes, we've evolved, and now we're here having a great time, man. Nobody here strikes me as nervous. Everybody seems to be enjoying themselves, and I know that I'm going to put words in your guys' mouth. Forgive me if I'm wrong, but I'm proud of this, man. I'm proud of what we're doing.
Heck
This is
yeah.
an awesome thing.
Yeah.
And
Right, 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 right.
when Jason hears a professional hockey player / judo master of the gold medal level, and Chris is the biggest motivational speaker in the world, we're all going to remember this little podcast that we were doing.
One day,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. One day at a time, right?
Yeah.
Hanging a medal right here.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right,
right.
Look at this.
right.
Oh.
The reunion. Come back for the reunion.
Yeah.
The
Yeah,
how we right back, same four guys here, and
absolutely.
that spark is still lit. Like Chris said, you said something before in one of our first meetings about the spark. All it takes is something about like a light or a spark, right? And
Yeah,
that's all it needs. That
yeah.
and from there it is gonna grow. Like, and I pushed them through that fear, man. And we're gonna go back. We're gonna put them because he told me don't get rid of them. Them them clips. And it's still gonna show up, like
No,
you said. It's gonna show
yeah.
up the next time. You know what I mean?
Always.
It's gonna show up. Like
Yeah.
You just choose how to deal with it, man. But to answer your question about the spark, it's everybody has a spark inside of them, bro. It doesn't. It might be very small and dim at a certain point. It could maybe even just be an ember. But this comes with surrounding yourself by like-minded individuals and positivity, because they come by somebody like any of us in this room. Our fires are burning. We're driven right now. We have a goal. We know how we're getting there. We're focused on it. We're positive. Don't have time for the negative. So our flame is burning hot. So
Yeah.
somebody that has that little ember of hope still inside of them, when they come closer to us, what does it do? It ignites it again. It's already lit. It just
I
needs
love
some
that.
more. It just needs some more fuel. So if they surround themselves with people, I'm just using us as an example because I know all you guys personally. I know that we're loving this, right? We're happy about this. You can
right,
feel the
right,
positivity. You
Yeah.
don't even need to know us to know that we're enjoying doing this, right?
right,
So
right.
somebody that's down and out, but still has that little somewhere inside of them, they still know they can do more. They still know that they can reach their potential, that they're not living up to their potential, right? they can come around individuals like us, and what is our flame? It just ignites theirs again. And that's the whole purpose of this thing, man. That's why I'm doing what I'm doing. Rashad, you've already expressed to me that's why you're doing this podcast, is to reignite people's flame again, man. You know, because it's a terrible place when you know that you're better, you know that you're destined for more, that you know you're capable of more, but you can't get it lit again. Right? It's still in there, but it's like you've stacked so much negativity and excuses, and self-doubt has beaten you to a pulp, and it's just become so heavy. It's doused your flame to such a small, dismal bit that you don't know where to begin sometimes, right? You don't know how to get out of it. You don't know the first step to take, but I'm telling everybody now, one of the first steps is just surround yourself by positive people. Borrow some of their light. I have enough light that I can give out. You know, I'm willing to give it out. That's what I'm doing. That's why I'm building my business. That's what my goal is, to give my light and my fire out to as many people as I can, man, because I want everybody to burn bright. It's a terrible. I've been there, bro. I've been there. We've all been there, right? I've been down and out, man. Felt there was no hope left. Still deep down inside, I had that little smidge of an ember inside of me that knew I wasn't living up to my capabilities, man. I wasn't tapping my potential. I wasn't doing much of anything. I knew I was capable of it, but I didn't know where to begin. I didn't know how to do it. I wasn't surrounding myself. I was still around the same scumbags that were just, you know, and all they were doing was dousing my flame even more. But then once I finally got over the fear and took the first step to bettering myself, and I kind of got around some more people that were like, yo, you don't have to live like that. It doesn't have to be that way. And my flame began to grow and grow and grow. And then I started feeling better. So then I started stoking my flame with more things. Let me grow on more. Let me talk more. Let me talk to this person because he's killing it right now. You know what I mean? He's positive. He's loving life. Let me get some of that. So I went and borrowed some of their flame. And then before I knew it, my flame was burning heavy. And then I was like, you know what? This is my opportunity, right? To be that bridge builder so that people don't have to go down into that deep valley, man. They can just walk across this bridge that I'm creating and tell them what to miss, what to do, you know, miss that, but do that. And you'll wind up here. Why do I know? Because I actually didn't do that. I did the complete opposite. And I went all the way down in the ditch, bro, and had to roll around in the muck and the mire and figure this out for myself. But looking back on it now, I know, oh, okay, I could have just done that. Or I finally did said thing and climb back out of the ditch. But our point is so people don't have to go into that ditch, man. Just walk across this bridge, man. Take this map. Don't go in those woods over there, bro, without my map, because you're going to get lost. Yeah. You're going to get lost. So here, I have a map for you. Come listen to my podcast every week. I got a map for you so you can go in them woods and know exactly what you're going to see. You're going to know that bear cave is right over there by this tree. You know, I'm just using that as an example, but that's our point, man.
Oh, right.
Something you said was pretty poignant there. That fire. I like that you use that specific word, because fire is one of those things that I can give you a little bit. I can light a fire in you, and I don't lose any of my fire.
No.
Right? And my fire is going to burn out the same way if I don't keep it, whether I give you some or not. So that's something that you can share with everybody, and you can create a wildfire in a good way, I guess.
Yeah.
But you can do that, and you don't lose anything. If anything, you gain something.
Absolutely, because you know how it is when you loosen those logs up, when you got a bonfire going, that thing jumps up then. So if I take a log out and throw it into your fire, man, my thing's roaring. I feel great about it, so my fire is roaring. And now your little ember has now become a campfire, at least.
Yeah.
It's not an ember anymore, you know? Now just start taking some logs from everybody's fire, everybody that has that burn, because we all know people like that, right? People that are just ready to go, man. They're driven. Let me look at successful people, bro. They don't hang around with failures, right?
Right.
No, successful people hang out with successful people. Why? Because they've learned this secret. They know that I want to talk to people that are feeling the same way I am about life, that have the same outlook that I do on life, you know?
Will
And the more that you... Go ahead.
My fault. He said you are who you hang with. One way, and like you said, you ain't gonna see successful people hanging around. No, and that brought that back to me. And the lady said to me before, she said, show me your friends and I'll show you, and I can tell you what you're about.
Absolutely.
Right? Like, yo.
How it works, man. I mean, think about it, bro. The more you get into this and continue this self-development journey, you'll just naturally be repelled from people that just are negative Nancy's, man. You don't want to, like, I don't even really, I'm not rude about it, but I don't have much to say. I'll shut down, you know, because I don't, it's not for me. It's really not.
bro, you said you hit on the nose. It's not for us because with us guys like us, it become draining.
Yeah,
It would drain. So it's like, you know what I mean? It's not for us, and we would know
Yeah.
the moment we get around it. It's just a feeling of that come over you, and you know the moment or not is that where you supposed to be at. You will know
yeah,
that moment. Like, you know what I mean? Like, oh, it's not
absolutely.
for me. You
That
know,
not only is it draining, not only is it draining, but you can't relate, right? I can't relate anymore. If you're talking to me about how everything's happening to you and you got bad luck and all this stuff, I'm not hearing you take responsibility for anything that I can't relate. So how can we have a conversation?
Yeah.
I'm not able to even do it because your
Right.
perspective
Right.
is
Oh,
chopped. You know what I mean? I can help you get a new perspective, but most of the time when you come into contact with somebody and they start talking negative to you, it's not a lesson. You're not supposed to teach them a lesson right then and there, right? They just want to have conversation.
Right.
But
Mhm.
I just try to be kind about it and try to slide out of slide out of the conversation as best I can, man, because it's contagious, man. You are who you hang out with. You hit it right on the head, man. So I surround myself with all positive people, man, all the time because listen, bro, I have a desire. I know where I'm going. I have a target and I'm going to get there. And let me tell you this, hanging out with negative people that's not on my list of things to continue doing to reach my desired goal, right? So all I do in my life, man, is I constantly try to do things that are benefiting me to reach my goal rather than doing things that aren't benefiting my life at all.
Yeah.
And talking to negative people isn't benefiting me. So
Yeah. It sounds.
I will offer this.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, Brian.
No, go ahead.
Closer to people who are wanting to make a change, having to deal with fear. Um, what is the first step? How do I start being a little less fear? And what was given to me an option is being a little bit more open-minded. Think about a case of the person that say, "Oh, I'll never go skydiving.
mm-hmm.
I'll never go bungee jumping. I'll never be a race car driver." There's this dogmatic, closed-minded thing was written off instantaneously that the thought of doing something so far out of their realm of comfort.
Mm-hmm.
But if we could just be a little more open-minded, you don't have to jump off a bridge. It's
Yeah,
bungee
yeah, yeah.
jumping, you jump off a bridge. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, but maybe you know
Walk up to the bridge
something
and look
small
down.
throughout the day. Yeah, maybe just go to the bridge and watch the people jump off and they're bungee jumping, they're screaming the way down, they get flung around, it looks fun, and just maybe that sparks something in them too. And I really like when you said that too, about there's a ripple effect. If negative people are negative all the time, then it's said that each person knows about 1,000 people, or at least interacts with 1,000 people in their lifetime. Well, if that person's constantly negative, there's a negative ripple effect to the next person, and that
Mm-hmm.
person knows 1,000 people too, or will in their life, and so on and so forth and so forth and so on. It just continues to go. Positive people, for whatever reason, the way that we're made or created and designed, uh, positive feels good. You know,
Yeah.
some
Why?
people, it's so
So
you get
It's
into, you are a part of your environment, so you get around positive people and good things happen. You know,
so
absolutely.
getting over that fear
starts
is
with being
the small
open-minded.
steps
That
first.
was my point.
Yeah, and being
Yeah.
open-minded and just taking the small steps first. It's
Right.
kind of like depression. When you're depressed, it's like the best thing you can do is just get up and move. Just clean something, anything, even if it's that spot
Yeah.
on the wall that's been there for 6 months that you just haven't cleaned. That's the first step. And it's with the fear, the first step is just being around something that you're afraid of. Even if you're not going to jump out of the plane, just going with your friends on the plane, helping them pack the parachute or whatever the heck you can do to just be around it would be the first step. And just try to be
Right.
more open minded. And you know what? You may find out that even though I'm not afraid to jump out of this plane, I don't want to anymore. But at least I don't have that hanging over my head that, man, I wish I would go skydiving, but I'm just so afraid of it. And then you find out, oh, actually, I'm not afraid anymore, which is good, but I'm not going to do it. Just have no desire to.
Or maybe one day, barring some food allergy, you say, yeah, I'll try that piece of sushi. Why not?
Yeah. Well,
instead of
I'm gonna
Yo,
grab something
speaking
here
of
a
real
that,
silly
quick.
example.
You guys,
yo, Roger took me, man, and he offered like,
sorry.
come on, let's go try some sushi. He's like, no, he's like, you ever had? I'm like, no. He's like, come try it. So I'm like, I don't know. Man, it was the best thing that ever happened. I'm like, what? Oh, I love sushi now. Like, just being open minded. You know what I mean? To try new things. Like, man, like it's definitely, it turned out for me every time I tried it. I'm gonna say out of 10, about a good 8 out of 10 was all good. 2 was just okay. It ain't gonna be perfect, but come on, keep coming. Like
Yep.
on that, like yeah, like being
But
open
see, you're
minded.
open to try it.
Right,
Yeah.
right, yeah.
I don't know
Yo,
That's
if you guys remember this at work. You know what this thing is?
That's a
I can't
staple.
even. It looks
Yeah,
like a paperclip to me.
that is the staple that was pulled out of my arm,
Uh,
along with my little medical
yeah.
bracelet here. I keep it on my desk in the background to remind myself that, I mean, because I was afraid of that staple gun for a little while there. Like, it gave me that fear, but I had to get back into it. So I keep that to remind myself that I can't just let it control me. Now it's sitting there. It's part of my pride display as opposed to this fear thing. That, like, I throw it away. Get away from me. I don't want to see it anymore. No, it's there, and I'm not afraid of it anymore. It doesn't control me.
A little
right, get
reminder.
away.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
That's great. Are any of you guys familiar with NLP? Have you ever heard of that term? NLP. It's short for, or it's an acronym for Neuro Linguistic Programming.
I've heard of this
It's a
actually.
little bit. I've heard of
Okay.
it, I should say.
So it's basically what it sounds like is brain work. But a lot of the things that people fear, even phobias and things like that, they're usually mostly tied to a traumatic experience that happened at some point in your life, tied to said thing, which creates a belief. But the point of it is, the only reason I bring it up is because our minds are a crazy thing, man. Like, they can be reprogrammed, and you can. I mean, Jason, I'm gonna in that Four Agreements book. If you said you read it, right? So they speak about that. When
Yep.
the way that you think is all based on experiences. You know what I mean? Things that you were programmed to believe in a young state, because your mind is completely open to just about everything. When you're a kid, you're growing up, you're building your life. I mean, life is that way the whole time, but so things always are, your beliefs are usually based on your experiences through things. For example, like, I'm scared of spiders, but if I was to actually get into it, like, I don't have any real justifiable fear of them, you know what I mean? But I've adopted that trait for myself, that I'm scared of spiders. So what have I done over the years? I've constantly told myself that I'm scared of spiders, to the point where I'm a 35-year-old man now and I'm terrified of spiders, for the simple fact that I've just told myself over and over that I am. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
I've literally, like,
Yeah.
adopted a trait,
Well, that's
so
that.
that's now part of my person. But it's a reverse effect. We can do the same thing with positivity, with success, with your desired outcome for whatever goal that you have. You know what I mean? I'll
Hmm.
use you as an example, Jason. I'm going to be a professional hockey player. I'm going to be a whatever, a great hockey player. You know what I mean? You tell yourself that enough, and you actually tie it with some belief and some emotion, it will become a genuine belief in you, and you'll subconsciously do things to achieve that goal.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's almost like you will it into existence.
Yeah, those are techniques of the law of attraction. I don't know if anyone that's familiar with that, but I mean,
Yeah.
that's
Speaking
how it
into
goes.
it.
It works two different ways, man. So that's why. And I wanted to just say this because I think it's deep. Is back to the positive negative thing. Is you got to be careful what you say to people, because your words can plant the seeds for either success or failure in someone else's life.
I like
Mm-hmm.
that.
Think about that for a second. You know what I mean? Be
Big
careful
one.
with your words, because what you said can be the seed planted for somebody's success or their failure. So you got to be careful. If you're going around spreading negativity, you might lock on to somebody that's already in a bad state, man. And that might be, I don't want to be dramatic, but that might be the straw that breaks the camel's back for somebody that's already depressed and feels awful about life and can't really find much reason to live anymore, right?
Yeah.
And then you have a conversation with them, and you're just tying in some more negativity to it, and then that could be that seed that grows into, life is just a waste,
You can be a catalyst for good or a catalyst for bad.
Yeah. So, I love to think that quote always really touched me, because no matter what. Even people I don't know, when I go out to eat, I'm so nice to my waiters and my waitresses. Just anybody I interact with, I'm always positive, because you never know. Me being kind to somebody in a particular situation, a complete stranger, could make their whole day better. It could change their whole perspective on life in general, for all I know. Again, that's dramatic, but you never know. You know what I mean? We can all look back into certain times in our life where somebody maybe said something kind or did a kind gesture to us, and it may not have seemed that significant to them, right? But how much did it mean to you? Obviously a lot, if you're able to remember it by me just saying that, you know? So we just have to be careful with what we say, man. And why not? Why even play with fire at all and say, oh, well, maybe I'll say some negative stuff just when I'm in a bad mood? Like, no, why don't you just douse that whole thing and just be positive all the time? Be kind all the time. Love the people around you, bro. Because you never know if that seed does grow. Okay, well, at least I know I planted a positive seed. You don't have to worry about, you don't have to be that guy. So
one of my dad's favorite quotes, it never hurts to be polite. So
it never
he
does.
just would say that to me. All growing up, he said that to me, like all the time.
Yeah, and it makes you feel
Even
good,
when
right?
you really desperately, you want to be a jerk or something because somebody was a jerk to you.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to. It just doesn't hurt to be polite, There's a certain amount of grace and things that we have to deal with, not have to deal with.
Yeah.
But are kind of socially acceptable, But that's probably, that's a whole other topic, probably for a whole other time.
Yeah.
Right. Jay got it because he told Dave, we gotta wrap it up because Jay had Dave waiting. He stepped out when you was talking about it, so I don't want to have you know what I mean, going over, and I'm get ready to go grab something to eat myself. So
Okay.
I had a blast with you guys. The first one,
Yeah.
I think this is the best one that we had. It was
Good.
no on my half, no trip ups, no stumbling, no. It just went and oh man, I can't wait till Monday to watch it.
Thank you,
Monday.
Shy.
Yeah. No, thank you again,
Thank you guys.
Jay, Chris, Bryant,
And
my
Brian,
guys for being there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely, man. I appreciate it, Rashad. I had a blast tonight, man. Jason, I'm so glad you joined us, man. The more the merrier, in my opinion. But we got some real deep stuff out tonight, guys. And I don't know about you, but I feel great after it, man. I'm happy about this. I'm really glad that we launched this off, stuck to our goal, and we hit it. So that's great. Congratulations, everybody.
Yeah.
I'm really proud of
Definitely.
everybody.
Yeah.